Some weeks before, whilst searching for a book to while away a wet afternoon, she had found on the top shelf in her father's study a volume packed with information which fully explained her mother's present indisposition. Rosalie's father was a military man and not due home for several months, so she had taken the book to her room and completed her education regarding the mysteries of the human body and the union of a man and a woman, which had hitherto been an enigma cloaked in secrecy. When Martha knocked, Rosalie met her at the door and asked her to fetch Mrs. Dawson straight away. 15 minutes later, Mrs. Dawson was directing Mrs. Kingston to retire to her room and telling Rosalie to ask Martha to bring up extra sheets and blankets and boil a pan of water. "Mamma," Rosalie whispered, "is it not too early? I mean, for a child to be delivered?" Her mother gasped and clutched her chest. "Rosalie, what would you know? How can you speak so?" "I know that you're expecting a child, Mamma," Rosalie said. "Of course I do. I'm 16. She didn't add that she'd worked out how long it had been since her father's last leave, and knew that it wasn't yet time to be delivered of a full-term infant. But of course she couldn't say so, not without giving away the knowledge she'd acquired from the book, which she knew her mother would be horrified to hear she had read. "Oh, tittle-tattling servants," her mother groaned as she was led up the stairs. "There can be no secrets from them." Rosalie nodded as if in agreement. They would know, of course, but not a word had been breathed in her presence. The servants in this house were very discreet. "I wish Father were here," she said, as she and Mrs. Dawson helped her mother out of her dress before drawing her nightgown over her head. Both her mother and the midwife drew in a breath of censure. "Don't be ridiculous, Rosalie." Her mother clutched the bed rail. "He's the last person I would want right now. Now, please leave, there's a good girl. This is no place for you." In the sitting room, Rosalie looked out of the window again. The snow was falling steadily, and she was barely able to see beyond the flakes in the dim and eerie gloom from the gas lamp outside the front door. There were a few people about, hurrying along the pavement with their heads down, the men with their coat collars turned up, and the women shrugging down into their muffs and furs. She sighed. It was going to be a long evening. According to the book she had read, it could take until tomorrow morning, or even the following night for her mother to deliver. But she was perturbed. Her father had returned to his regiment in the middle of July, and even taking into account that he had arrived home at the end of June, she flushed. Really, she shouldn't be thinking of such things. But she also recalled that her mother had been ill only last year, and Mrs. Dawson had been sent for then as well. Rosalie was an only child. She had had a brother, but he had succumbed to diphtheria and died at 3 years old some 6 years before. Had there been other pregnancies, she wondered? There was no way of telling. Her mother's constitution was delicate, and the doctor often visited. She went up to her room. A fire had been lit and the curtains drawn. The room was decorated in colours she had chosen herself: cream walls, pale green upholstery, and rose-coloured cushions. She turned up the lamp and selected a book to read, but she couldn't settle, and after a few minutes got up to open the door so that she could hear any sounds of activity from her mother's room along the landing. She picked up her book again and drew her chair nearer the fire. But presently the words began to blur, and her eyes closed. "Miss Rosalie! Miss Rosalie!" Martha was gently shaking her shoulder. "Wake up, miss." "Oh!" Rosalie sat up with a start, rubbing her eyes. "Oh, what time is it?" "9:30, Martha said. "Mrs. Dawson sent for Doctor, Miss Rosalie. Your mother miscarried. Do you know what that means, miss?" "Yes," Rosalie said. "She's lost the baby." She blinked up at the servant. "Is she all right? Mother, I mean."